Hello, I'm Scott Bogey here with Bruce Whitehead ahead of his fight against Kenan Jackson. How are you doing today?
Man, I'm doing good, doing good. A little tired from sparring this morning. I'm good.
And how has the training been for this upcoming fight?
Man, it's been great. It's been a lot of progress between me and my coaches, a lot of grinding, a lot of getting after it. So a lot of growing.
Exactly. And am I correct in saying your head coach is Richard Copley?
Yeah, yeah, yeah. He's the man.
And how has that been for your development?
Man, there's nobody in the world like Dick Copley. I'll laugh at that. He's the man. He has a great eye for the game. He studies the opponents like no other. He's the most devoted coach that I've ever been around. And man, I would not be where I'm at without him. He's developed my game completely, and I owe him, almost everything really. He's the man. Along with Jeremy, he's the man too.
And how much do you just leave it to the coaches to come up with a game plan, or do you like to be part of that process?
Man, I don't study my opponents worth anything. I don't watch them really fight hardly. I just get I leave it up to my coaches. They write down a big long list of what to do and give me all this stuff. At the end of the day, I kind of think, man, it's a fist fight. We'll get in there and throw some bombs and see what happens.
And that happened in the last fight against Rusty. You were able to go in there, you got the first round knockout after 32 seconds. That must have felt nice.
Yeah, man, it was cool. I went on a little streak of like finishing people pretty quickly after everybody called me boring. So it's been it's been pretty cool.
You took that personally, didn't you?
Yeah, man, I did. I did it. Man, you could ask my coach and everything. It pissed me off so much. I was like, well, we'll see who's boring now.
And how annoying must it have been? Because I know later in the year you did try to get fights scheduled. You had two in September for September 22nd, that got
Hmm.
cancelled. You then had tried to get one for December 15th, that got cancelled. How
All right.
annoying is it for you're going through that camp and it all stops?
Man, it super annoying, right? Because you feel like you put in all this work and
Yeah.
almost seems for nothing because you didn't get to do the thing that you're preparing for, right? And especially whenever you're fighting, I think everybody gets this like thing where everything's so fast paced that you're almost running out of time to accomplish what you want to accomplish, right?
Yeah.
Like, man, I'm not going to get there because I'm going to run out of time. I'm not going to do it because. And so it's super frustrating. And it was just like freak things I had one opponent pull and then, I missed weight by point 0.8. And there was like a miscommunication kind of between me and the other fighter. I thought he was okay with it. Then it turns out after I started rehydrating, he wasn't okay with it. And, we offered him everything in the kitchen sink to try, but he didn't want to do it. So it didn't end up happening. And then I was supposed to fight in December. And, my dogs got into a fight. And whenever I was trying to split them up, one of them snacked down on my hand and messed my hand up really bad. I had to go to the hospital for it and get IV bags. It turned pretty bad, and I couldn't use my hand. So I ended up having to pull for that one too, which freaking stinks. It's the first fight that I had to pull from,
Yeah.
and yeah, man, just like weird freak accidents that have kind of kept me out. But I've been just consistently grinding the entire time through, so consistently getting better. So I'm definitely excited for this one. And Keenan's a tough dude, so I'm excited for a good scrap
Exactly. It's got fight of the night potential written all over it.
for sure.
Once you do get the victory, do you like to celebrate? Is there any certain way you like to celebrate? A certain takeaway? Do you like to go out somewhere? Is there anything you like to do regularly?
Man, I'm an old man at heart. I'm an old soul, so basically, I just like to hang out with me, my friends, my girl, and go get some pizza or something like that, and hang out. I don't really like to do a whole lot, and I don't really like thrive in the victory for too long. It feels cool for a couple of days, but I kind of just an old man, go to work, go to train, go to work, go to train, hang out with my girl, hang out with my dogs, which one's in my face right now.
So am I correct in saying that as well as this fighting game, you also have that full-time job and part of that?
Yeah, yeah. I'm a fireman actually, so that's my full time like career. So uh,
And how has that been being able to balance that? Because I know with Stipe, he's also a fireman. Did that take your inspiration or?
Man, I know I knew a couple people who were firemen and fought MMA. So I mean that had I don't know if that had an exact influence, but I know that once I got into the career, I absolutely fell in love with it. I fell in love with the aspect of helping people, and fell in love with the aspect of just the camaraderie with your crew and all the guys, and
Yeah.
being able to go do things like put out fires. And then whenever I started fighting, then I realized, like, I turned pro. I realized that it fit the schedule fit fighting perfectly. Like I could work around, I could work and have a career that supported me, and the people I need to support, and my dogs,
Yeah.
and then still like live a good life and still be able to chase my dreams, and you know what I mean, not feel like a bum.
And how is it? Because obviously there is a common saying, dog's best friend is man's best friend. How
Yeah.
is that connection between you two?
Dude, this is my dog right here, actually. He's the man. He kind of looks like me, too. He's got the mustache and everything. Yeah, I mean, he's cool with it. I would take him. He used to go with me everywhere. He'd go with me to the gym and hang out. He'd go with me to the fire station, hang out. Yeah, he's my boy.
And it looks like for your last fight, he was trying to get in some rounds as well.
Yeah. For my last fight, yeah, he's trying to reenact. He's trying to do these just like his dad and my other dog too, and trying to be like his mom.
And how old are your dogs?
I got a dog so he's 3. All right, and my other dog, he's about to turn 2. So
And do you have any other pets, or is it just the dogs just now?
we got 2 cats as well. That yeah, I got 2 cats.
And is it, I'm guessing it's just mutual love between all of them.
No, actually, this guy right here is a freaking dick and hates cats. And man, he'll chase them up and down and whine, and they have to be separated because he's such an asshole.
He's just trying to get in some more rounds.
Yeah, that's what it is. And he'll chase them, and he hates cats. I don't know why. So we have to like let him out at separate times.
And what was it that was your toughest test so far in the cage?
Toughest test in the cage?
Yeah,
Man, I would say that my toughest test in the cage was probably toughest test. I'd say, I mean, obviously my one loss was against Evan Dixon, right? That dude's
yeah.
tough as nails, right? I hit him with everything in the kitchen sink, and that dude just took it. He was like like he just ate it. It's crazy, but yeah, yeah, he's the man. But he was definitely my toughest test, and actually the fight that I learned the most from. I think I got like a little violent hungry whenever it came to fighting. You know what I mean? Like we're all a little crazy, and I think that I finished people pretty quickly. And then coming to him, I was just so violent hungry. I wanted a war that I forced it, and I let my
Yeah.
emotions get the best of me. And I think that I forced a war against somebody that I felt that I was better than, and I end up losing because of it, right? Because I let my emotions go get to me instead of staying calm, and so from even in my Rusty fight, you can see a little bit of a difference. I know it was a quick finish again, but a little bit more patient and a little bit more methodical, and I feel like I'm ever like growing in that. Like I still got that crazy in me, but it's a little bit more tamed.
And if I'm correct in saying this, this fight is welterweight. Is that correct?
Yeah.
Yep. So this is a change in weight class because I know you have been known to try and fight in that lightweight division. What was
Yeah.
it that instigated that change?
Man, that cut to 55 is absolutely miserable, right? Like, I'm a decently big guy, walk around at a decent heavy weight, and I just felt like I was malnourishing myself and entering a fat camp each fight camp, you know what I mean? Trying to diet down and get down and lose, a crazy amount of weight that was affecting like my life outside. It was affecting like my job of having to take off at certain times because
Yeah,
I can't, if I'm cutting a bunch of weight, I can't be making fires and expected to run on these hot buildings,
yeah.
and pull people out. I'm gonna end up being the guy that they try to pull out. I just you know what I mean, and I didn't want that, so I decided to move up in weight and feel a little bit better. I'm still walking around heavy. I train with high level welterweights all the time.
Yeah.
Trevin Giles, who's in the UFC, is one of my main partners. Anthony Ivy, who's like a brother and best friend to me, is a PFL fighter and
Yeah.
one ranked number one at welterweight. And me and him get solid rounds and grind with each other all the time. I'm used to going with these bigger guys, so I just figured it was like I wasn't worried about the change, and I'm not worried about the size. I'm not worried about the strength nearly at all. So I'm definitely excited to go in there and compete healthy and be ready to get after.
So I'm guessing this is not just a one-trip thing. This is just going to be a constant. You're now back at welterweight.
Yeah, I don't know for sure. We'll see how it goes, right? Like, we'll see. We'll see. I know that I've made 55 against Devin, so um, I don't know. We'll see what the future holds. I'm not 100% sure on anything. I'd hate to sit here and lie to you and tell you, yeah, this is the way it's going to be. But all I
Just see
know is
how
my
it is.
next one's at 170, and I'm going to get out there and scrap it out and see what goes down.
And do you feel like there has been also the talk about this? There should be a weight class in between welterweight. There should be like a 160 weight class. Do you
Yeah, for
agree that
sure.
that should come around?
Dude, I don't know how many people who are like, man, I'm just a little too big for 155, but a little too small for 170. And I 100% believe that it should be a 100% there should be a middle ground because, I mean, cutting like the dudes that just feel like they're going to try to, like, you're going to try to get every edge you can get, right?
Yeah,
So people are going to cut these giant amounts of weight and sometimes you have to protect the fighters from themselves, right? You see it in the cage whenever they have refs. I think that you should see it outside the cage whenever it comes to weight cutting clauses because these guys are cutting crazy amount of weights, and it's you just it's going to affect you in the long run for sure. It's going to mess up your hormones. It's going to mess up all these different things when it comes to it. So I think that there 100% should be a middle ground, but
and
is what it is.
how did you get into fighting?
Oh man, I was like I was a little hothead, I was a little shithead as a kid, and to say the least. But man, my parents put me in like wrestling and jiu-jitsu whenever I was like 11 to kind of
Yeah,
help control it. And man, I fell in love with it. It's been like a lifelong dream since. I had my first fight whenever I was 17. Yeah, man, since I went and wrestled in college and competed in college, and then came back, turned pro, and been getting after it.
and I'm pretty sure all your fights have been, as like a professional anyway, have been with Fury. How
Mhm.
how good does that feel that you've been able to find that organization that you can kind of like class as being home?
Yeah, man, even my amateur fights, I fought with Garcia Promotions is what it was called, and it was Eric's
Yeah,
promotion before it was Fury. It feels great. Fury takes care of me, and I love being able to represent Eric. And I tell him all the time that I'm gonna be one of the guys or one of the next Fury roster guys in the UFC for him. And they look out for me and take care of me, and I just hope to repay the favor and look out for them and take care of them as like I climb the ranks.
exactly. And like you're saying, you are going to be the next rank into the UFC. It just seems like Fury is now, it's a big year for them. Last year, they were able to send a lot of people not only into the Contender Series, but the
Right,
UFC. But this year is where they can cement themselves as being the number one organization to submit people into the UFC, overtaking that probably the LFA slot just now in
right.
America. Do you feel
Yeah.
like that is the case? They are going to overtake them?
Yeah, for sure, man. Fury is nothing but on the come up, right? Like
Yeah,
if you look, they have nothing but killers, and like every single weight class, they have somebody that's just an absolute killer.
yeah.
And even as like, what's crazy is you see these guys that go fight in other organizations, and they go like 4-0, 5-0, 6-0. Like, man, they're the next hot prospect. They're the thing, right? Then they come to Fury and they lose 2, 3 fights in a row.
Yeah,
Like that right there, in my opinion, shows what it is, and that's why I think like me like doing so well in Fury so far has been like a big thing, is because there's nothing but dogs in Fury. Like there's every fight's just a like a dog, like somebody who's a up and coming prospect. Like there's nothing but banger fights on there. So
exactly. And I can't remember what his name is. He fought quite recently, but he was released from the UFC. He came to Fury and he lost. I think he got stopped. So it just shows that you guys are at that level. You aren't just going to give it an easy prospect. You're not just going to get an easy fight. You're going to be in
right,
there. You're going to have to be on your top of your game if you are wanting to get a victory.
Yeah, for sure. Every fight's an absolute dogfight. That's what people have even told me throughout my fights. Is like, man, you fought a bunch of really tough dudes. And I'm like, yeah, I have, but like every dude's gonna be tough. And when you get to the UFC, you expect to fight somebody who's not
Yeah.
tough. Like you better get used to fighting somebody who's tough, and you better get used to being in there and taking hard shots, and being tired and be able to push through that and hitting people, and they're not going away. You like now is the time to get that experience. That way, whenever you're in like under the lights in the UFC, like you've experienced it. It's nothing new to you.
And it must have been quite nice to be able to fight. I'm pretty sure you fight out of Texas. So it must be nice and easy to be able to fight in your home state.
Oh yeah, yeah. That's even cooler. I get a whole bunch of firefighters come out, and
Yeah.
I do pretty well whenever it comes to ticket sales, and a lot of people come to support, and it's easy to feel at home whenever you're in your home. You know what I mean? And you're fighting in your backyard, so it's always nice.
And how much can you like feel the support when you're in the cage?
Man, I can feel a ton, dude. Whenever I go out there and you see nothing but a whole bunch of crazy mustache men, firemen screaming, yelling, it feels awesome. So. Um, Yeah, it's great. I mean, I have loads of respect or loads of like gratitude for the guys and everybody who supports me. So,
Exactly. And make sure you tune in on March 21st, where you'll be able to see Bruce get that victory, get that stoppage, and be able to get bigger things next. Whether that is a title shot, whether that's Contender Series, UFC, we just have to wait and see. Thank you for coming on today. Is there anything you'd like to add or anyone you're wanting to shout out?
um, man, I'd like to shout out all my sponsors. Everybody who helps me out. This is obviously like a big dream to chase, and it don't come cheap. So all the sponsors who help me out, huge appreciation of them. All my training partners, all my coaches, like I said, I named a couple of them. I got tons of them. Anthony Ivy, was like a brother to me. Helps
Yeah.
me out a ton. Trevin Giles, Zach Reese, Kyle, Todd Drank, James Ford. There's just the list goes on and on. And huge shout out to my coaches. Obviously, you mentioned one of them, Adam Copley and Jeremy Mahon. They're the guys, and obviously different guys like Joel. He's been helping out with my boxing a bunch this camp, and Chang's been helping me out a bunch with my stand up. So I got tons of guys. If I missed anybody, I got tons of guys who help me out. I'm just a product of so many people's hard work that pour into me, honestly. And a huge shout out to my girlfriend.
And I know you'll be able to showcase everything in that cage and get another quick stoppage. Thank you for coming on.
Yeah, I